Hello everyone, this is Locko S, and today we are going over Kerbo's Egyptian liveries for DCS World, specifically for the Sinai map, because unfortunately, until fairly recently, we really didn't have Egypt represented in DCS World, and not only did we really not have Egypt represented, none of their skins have also been represented as well, so thankfully, his DCS username is or Cabal 416. So he has actually taken it upon himself to create some liveries for the Egyptian Air Force for their various aircraft. Some of them I've already covered in a previous video. Specifically, I remember covering the MiG-21 skins that he did. But we're going to go over and give him a little bit of a showcase today because he's actually done quite a lot of skins for the Egyptian Air Force. So we're going to start all the way over here and recenter our view on our first aircraft here. And we're kind of going to go. We're actually going to start off here with some of these older aircraft. These are actually skins for and liveries for the Royal Egyptian Air Force. So this is the Royal Egyptian Air Force Spitfire skin. As you can see, it's a different coloration than the one you see further down the line there. And again, this is because it's technically different. It's the Royal Egyptian Air Force, not the Egyptian Air Force. So this was way back in the day. I do believe this one was 1940. So this is a 1948 or 49 skin. So you can see you have the green rondels for the Egyptian Air Force. And that really interesting white band back there with Arabic writing, which is pretty cool on both sides. And then you also have that green and white stripe on the tail. And then you have the Spitfire here in these Egyptian colors, which is really cool. Always it's sort of a like a dark. It's a really dark brown and like a lighter mid brown coloration, which is pretty cool. Moving on, going from. I guess in this span of a few years, going from from the NATO countries to and really NATO World War II surplus era to the jet era. The Royal Egyptian Air Force also then went to the MiG-15 here, and they have Arabic numerals, I believe, on either side of the engine exhaust or the engine intake, in front of the cockpit. And then on this skin that he did. Again, you have the Royal Air Force, the Royal Egyptian Air Force markings on the wing tips, and then also on the sides of the fuselage, and also their flag. I guess that's the Royal Egyptian flag on the back, on the tail. And other than that, it's a nice, clean MiG-15 skin. And I will say, MiG-15, it's one of those aircraft that I don't ever normally see liveries published for. So it's good to see it get some love here with his Egyptian Air Force pack. Moving on, this is his Egyptian Air Force KA-50 skin. Now this is one of those semi-realistic skins. Well, the Egyptian Air Force doesn't fly KA-50s because the KA-50 is indeed an experimental, was an experimental aircraft. The KA-52, which was developed from the KA-50. Is actually in use by the Egyptian Air Force. So this is basically a KA-52 skin that's been ported over to the KA-50 that we have to play with in game. So effectively, if you were to play any, if you were to actually have any KA-52s in game, you would use this, and you could play along. You could play with these. So it's really cool that he ported the skin over. It's a really cool light brown, take that light tan like sand, and then you have a bit more of like a mid brownish tan. So it looks really cool. Also, the weathering on here is actually fairly good and makes sense for it being a helicopter that it gets quite a bit dirty. Also, you have the Egyptian Air Force round on either side of the tail, which is really nice, and also on the tail. It's really sharp. You see the Egyptian flag also has really fine detail on it, which is pretty cool. So, here you go. The Egyptian Air Force KA-50 skin. moving on, we have 2 skins for the MI8. I do know the Egyptian Air Force uses MI8s and MI17s. I do know that the MI17 is basically an upgraded MI8, so we have 2 skins for those here. This one's a more plain light tan skin, which is really nice. You can see even with the very bright and very light skin coloration, all of the panel lining and rivets are all basically there, which is really cool. And you also have the Egyptian Air Force Rondo marking on either side, which is really sharply done, as well as the Egyptian flag on the tail. And now you have the, I do believe this camo scheme in the Egyptian Air Force, I've noticed for some others of the other skins that he's done, this three-tone coloration of those light tan sand color, and then the sort of like that mud brown, and then it's a mud brown with a little bit of green mixed in, and then like sort of like that olive drab. This is their now, I believe it's their now river camo, and it looks really good. There's writing on the tail. The rondos, it's really cool because like also the this is also based off of a real MI8, and you can see that they even adjusted some of the Egyptian Air Force rondo markings have changed a little bit in their positions and size, which is pretty cool. You also have other markings that have changed all as well, which is pretty cool. And yeah, there's your MI8 skins for the Egyptian Air Force. Now moving on to another helicopter, and our final helicopter today, next to this I think this is an IL-76, so we'll get to it in a little bit. Just showcasing the size difference between 2 aircraft right there, which is pretty cool. We have the Gazelle, which again, like I previously mentioned, just got a recent flight update, so definitely worth checking out. So this is Kerbo416's Gazelle skin, and as we could see here, it's similar to the other Egyptian skin that was released. I do think of the two, this one is slightly more refined. The other one is perfectly fine too for flying around, but this one definitely has a bit more definition in its colors, a bit more weathering around the engine, which makes sense. I think even like the tail rotor looks also a bit more defined. Like the panel lining and the rivets on there are a bit more defined. You have the Egyptian flag there on the tail rotor and on the rotor base too, which is really good and looks really nice on this little helicopter. And there it is. That's the Gazelle for the Egyptian Air Force. Next up, we have this really big, massive aircraft that is the IL-76. This is a transport aircraft, and this is actually modeling a singular IL-76 with that number, with 1332 being, I think, its tail number. So doesn't look too much crazy different than most other IL-76s, but there's always these nice little touches up here, up and around, that makes it different. Again, you have the Egyptian Air Force rondo markings, which are one of the big things. You also have the Egyptian flag there on the tail, on either side, nice and big. You also have all these nice little details up near the front of the cockpit. You have Arabic writing, I believe, towards the nose, and you have the model number of you have the model type of the aircraft right underneath the cockpit, and then you also, I guess, have its alphabetic code. I'm not quite sure exactly what that is. That might be part of the full aircraft code, where it's SUBTY-1332. I think that's how. I think it might have to do it. I'm not familiar with how other air forces do their codes. That's probably, but it's probably part of their identification codes. And over and all, this is actually a very slick paint scheme on this aircraft. Nice little touches here and there with the Egyptian markings. You can definitely see even all these little details here on the nose are really cool, and on the tail. So if you need Egyptian IL-76s for your cargo transportation needs, along with your C-130s that I showed in a previous video, You have both of those AI assets in game. Adds a lot of life to your air bases. And then moving on to our last aircraft here, as you can see down there below the leftmost engine, we have the F5E Tiger II. Now, the F5E Tiger II was supposed to be acquired by the Egyptian Airforce, but things fell through. Some other countries in the area, some drama happened, and apparently the deal fell through. So they actually did have it was far enough along the planning stages that they actually had a paint scheme devised for the F5E. And here it is. So similar to other F5E skins, you have rondo markings on the side of the engine intakes on either side. You have them also on the tops of the wings. And then, like most other Egyptian aircraft, you have the Egyptian flag on the tail right there. Plus, you have a little bit of Arabic writing down below near the engine exhaust on either side, which is pretty cool. And the belly is your normal standard gray. And as for the paint scheme, I really like how they did the paint scheme here. You have sort of this like light tan, dark green, and then darker stone brown. So you have this, it's very similar to I believe the Now river camo, but instead of that muddy brown, I think they replaced it with this like sandy, like this dark tan stone color. So this is a really cool skin. Overall, mixing those the light brown, the dark brown, and like the olive drab mixed in, which is pretty cool. It is interesting also that the gun ports are actually also painted. I don't know how. It might be something they might do in different air forces. I do think that's actually kind of fun here, because it really makes the aircraft actually look pretty smooth from a distance. So you're not breaking up any of the camouflage actually on the front of the aircraft. So that's actually a pretty cool thing. And with that, that is it for Kerbo's skins for the Egyptian Air Force. So it's a pretty good lineup of skins all around. Between this and some of the other skins that he did, he's actually covered quite a lot of aircraft for the Egyptian Air Force that we have in game. So even in just this, even with just these skins, you have skins for the Spitfire, MiG-15, Ka-50, Mi-8, Gazelle, the IL-76, which is an AI asset. But if you want to make your missions pop and whatnot, you need AI assets to like really bring things to life. So good props here for getting that in. And then you also have the F5E, and I do believe, I remember at the very least, he did a skin for the Egyptian Air Force for the MiG-21s. So at least off the top of my head, he did in total 8 skins. He did skins for 8 different aircraft, and that's pretty much a big feat for covering the entirety of one Air Force. And it's interesting for the Egyptian Air Force to have go back and forth between East and West for all their aircraft needs. And they get aircraft from sometimes NATO countries, sometimes Russian countries, and then bring them all into one Air Force and then try to get them all to work together. It's pretty interesting. Oh, those are always interesting situations to figure out, like, how do you do things, how do you coordinate the logistics even of all that, and other kind of fun stuff. So, anyways, just wanted to go over this today, and next video we'll be going back to Ace Combat Livery videos. So, until then, this is LockOS, signing out.